Words create our reality. Think of every word you know. All of those words create your reality, what you know, what you understand to be true. Think of this word right here, family. That word right there, what does it mean to you? Love, laughter, things like that. So you take a word like family, and it's just a condensed version of all of other words that you know, right? You think of recipe. What does that mean? It could mean thousands of different things. It could mean eggs, butter, milk. It could mean pork, beef, ham, whatever it may be. You know that this word means a lot of things: recipe, family. So when you're dealing with real estate, it's important to understand some key words. I wrote down 6 key words that you should understand when getting into real estate. The first one gonna be appraisal. What is an appraisal? The definition is it's an unbiased estimate of a property's value, usually performed by a licensed professional. So that means that a person that's licensed comes to your house and tell you what the house is worth. It's not what you paid for it. It's not what you think it's worth. It's what it's actually worth. So what they do is they go into other properties in the area, seeing what they sold for, and that's how you get a value of the house that you're trying to purchase. And banks require one of these when you're going in to get a mortgage. They want to know exactly what the house is worth. I usually pay about $500-600 for an appraisal. The next word will be equity. What is equity? The definition of equity is the difference between the market value of a house and the amount you owe on a mortgage. So the market value of the house might be $100,000. And let's say you bought the house for $50,000. That means you have $50,000 worth of equity in this house. So equity is very important whenever you're looking for a house. You want to find houses that have equity. I bought one house for $25,000 and it was worth like $38,000. So out the gate, before we even signed the deal, I made money when I bought it because I bought it and it had equity. So the next term would be a down payment. What is a down payment? It's the upfront payment that's made when purchasing a property, usually a percentage of the total. So, a down payment would be the money that you give either the bank or the money that you give the seller upfront so they can either hold the house or so you can buy the house. Banks usually require a down payment before they sell you the house. You can get down payment as low as 3.5%. So with one of my houses, I put 10% down and I got finance for the rest. So it just all depends on who you're dealing with and what the price of a house is. A down payment can be anywhere from $100 to $100,000, depending on the price of a house. Your next one gonna be closing costs. Closing costs are the fees and expenses incurred during the closing of a real estate transaction. So, what closing costs is all the money that you need to buy this house. Then you can close on the deal. So that would be your mortgage. That would be your down payment. That would be the lawyer fees. That would be the appraisal fees. All of these fees are part of the closing costs. You need all of these, you need to pay to be able to buy a house, right? And then the bank, the people at the bank, they need their salary. So it's going to be fees for the bank to process this loan and things like that. So those is all part of the closing costs that you need whenever you're trying to buy a house. I usually like to think of it as between 5 and 10% of whatever the house costs. So if you get $100,000 house, your closing costs gonna be about 5 to 10% of that, which is $5 to $10,000, depending on how much of a down payment you put and the rest of your fees. The next gonna be a mortgage. So we going through all of this so we could get a mortgage. What is a mortgage? A mortgage is a loan used to purchase real estate, typically paid back with interest over time. So what that means is a mortgage is basically like a loan that you get that you pay back, right? So you're not going out and buying $100,000 house with cash. You're using the bank's money, and that's called a mortgage. So a mortgage is essentially like rent that you're paying, but you're just paying it to a bank as opposed to a regular landlord. That's what a mortgage is. When you hear all of these things, you need an appraisal, you need a down payment, you need to have all of the closing costs so you can get a mortgage. And last is foreclosure. What is foreclosure? It's the legal process where a lender takes control of a property due to missed payment. So a foreclosure is basically like a repo. It's them coming back to get the property that they loaned you money on. They gave you a mortgage and you didn't pay it. So now you have to pay this. They have to get their money back somehow. So they're going to take the property from you and sell it at an auction. And whatever the property gets at the auction, they'll deduct that from what you owe. And now that's what you owe. So let's say you had $100,000 house. You paid down $50,000 and they took it to auction and they got $30,000 for it. Then you would still owe $20,000, but now the bank made their money back.